What's up, everybody? Welcome to week 86, counted week 86 of Shark Sports Radio. Alongside of me is Andrew Gifford. He goes by Giffy. That's right. Giffy is back in the mix, back on the saddle. What's happening, Giff?
Not much, man. Been a while. Family got a new dog. Winnie, mini schnauzer, 50 pounds of dog in a 5-pound body, and she's a coward. She likes to bark. She likes to bark at bigger dogs. She likes to bark at people, and as soon as they come up to her, she cowers behind my leg. But she does love the entire family. But I will say, I give her the most treats, so she loves me the most. Don't tell my wife that.
No, that's all right.
But yeah. Happy to be back in the saddle. We got
Big
preseason
time.
football.
Yep.
Got the tail end of the Olympics. And we can kind of give our thoughts on.
But before we get started, Giff, right? Before we get started, I always want to give out the promotions. You can tune in, use our Apple Podcast, SoundCloud, and or Spotify app. Check us out on YouTube at Shark Sports Radio channel. Check us out on TikTok at Shark Sports. Also check us out on Facebook at Shark Sports Radio page. And Bobby's still in the mix. He's going to be doing segments left and right with us. So, Giff, before we do get started with the NFL talk, because, again, there's just something that has come across my mind driving home today, right? And I feel like it's warrant the conversation, right? So here's my thing. I'm driving on 295, 610 connector, if you know Rhode Island. And I'm driving at a good speed limit, right? Heading into the exit. And I see this car on my left. It goes from left to center to right, but without a fucking blinker. And I can't stand New England drivers because it's either really, really fast or consistently slow. So I feel like it's warranted a conversation for those that are listening to always use your blinker. That's why your car manufacturer installed that blinker, is to use it. So moving forward, I just ask if you're a good driver or even if you're a driver on the highway, just use your blinker, or else I might have minor road rage. My wife has told me this, but I feel like it's just worth it where it's like chucking the bird at them, because if you don't use your blinker, every time they think about using their blinker, they'll use their blinker because they don't want to get the bird chucked at them in the mirror, the rearview mirror. So, Giff, how do you like them drivers?
We're in New England. Mark lives in Rhode Island. I live in Massachusetts. But I can probably say that for New England drivers in general, I have no hope. I have no hope because I've seen it all. I've seen individuals, and again, not going to gender them and create any stereotypes, but I've seen certain people putting the being on the highway and having the steering wheel between their seat and applying any sort of makeup. I've seen people flat out texting on the road. I've seen people just be paused at green lights for no apparent reason. And to kind of piggyback off of your flip him the bird comment, my dad calls it the secondary driving signal. Yep. Turning signal, because Absolutely. If the first one doesn't work and if somebody doesn't use it, that's the secondary one that's going to come behind it as you pass them on the highway.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not surprised at all by
just
anything.
use it though.
I know use it.
But yeah. I don't care if you cut me off, Giff. I really don't. Just use your blinker. If you're gonna cut me off, just use your blinker. I don't care.
We are firing on all cylinders, my friend. We are back in the saddle.
Yeah. Speaking of firing, all right. So we got the NFL starting up in a month, but we got the preseason here, rock and roll. We're gonna be handing out awards tonight. MVP, Coach of the Year, Rookie of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, Offensive Player of the Year, Rookie Offensive Player of the Year, Rookie Defensive Player of the Year. We're going to be rocking and rolling. But first, we are going to get into the plus and minuses when it comes to win totals for these teams in the NFL. But we will not get into every single one because that would take us quite some time. So we will get into 3 different teams for Giff and myself each. Giff, I will give you the floor first, my friend. Which team are you going with, and what's the over-under?
So, sure. So before we get going, and before everybody goes, why do I have to listen to these guys? Listen, we're still hacks. Don't get me wrong. However, coming off of our NBA predictions, we did say two major things that was going to happen. So all the way back in, late September, early October of 2023, when we were giving out our season predictions, we did say that Anthony Edwards is certainly going to take a jump coming off of Team USA and the World Championships. And he's probably the face of the league now, let's be honest. So we nailed that on the button. And we also said, and if I can give myself a little bit of a pat on the back, we did say in our playoff preview, be aware of the Dallas Mavericks. Nobody wants to play them. They got some really good pieces at the trade deadline. So don't be shocked if they make some noise, and they made the NBA Finals. So I'm not saying that we're going to be correct all the time, but I will point to our scoreboard and that we kind of sort of maybe know what we're talking about.
Yeah, we do.
Okay, so my first over-under total is for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I feel like there's a lot of buzz around them in the sense of they have, I would say, two quarterbacks that are a little bit better than what they had last year.
Yes.
They still have a really good defense. Fitzpatrick on the back end of it, TJ Watt, obviously, Cam Hayward in the middle. But their over-under win total is 7.5. And I feel like a lot of people are potentially going over with this pick just because of the signings of Russ or Justin Fields or whatever.
Or the trade talk with Brandon Ayuk.
Yeah, with Brandon Ayuk and all that other stuff. I'm going to just locating my dog, make sure she's not shitting on the floor. I'm going to go with under for Pittsburgh. Okay. And here's why. So last year they went 10-7. Again, Mike Tomlin has never coached a losing season, which is a feat unto itself. Fantastic coach. Key acquisitions, Russell Wilson, obviously, Denver kind of threw him on the garbage pile. All that drama last year of, them wanting to renegotiate the contract and all that smoke. They did trade for Justin Fields when the Bears were going to obviously select Caleb Williams, number 1 overall out of USC.
Right.
And they did pick up Arthur Smith, who's the former head coach of the Atlanta Falcons. Very good in play action game, which is, what they're kind of going to be going for in Pittsburgh. I'm going to say under, because last year, right? 11th in rushing offense, 25th in passing offense, 21st in team defense. But I'm going to go with under, and here's why. They might have gotten a quarterback that's a little bit better than Kenny Pickett. However, when you look at who they're going to be throwing the ball to, I still don't have confidence that they have the receivers in order to get there. Now, again, this is being recorded before any potential trade talk with Brandon Ayuk or what have you. But as the team currently is constituted, I don't have any faith in their offensive line, even though they drafted well on the offensive line, made a couple of moves there. Their number 1 receiver as it currently stands is George Pickens.
Yeah.
That's my argument. Freiermuth is a good tight end, good possession tight end as a as a weapon. But here's their schedule, right? So they might play in the toughest division in football.
Right.
Maybe. I think the argument can be either the AFC North or the NFC North. I think those are the two divisions right now that could be kind of the hardest divisions in football.
AFC.
So their schedule. I'll have to see how Buffalo is. Because
I can see that.
I think with all of the losses that they've had, especially at receiver, with the losses of Gabe Davis, with Diggs going to Houston, and their running game being pretty non-existent over the past couple of years, they didn't really make a ton of adds to that. So I'll have to see how they are before I can say kind of AFC East. But here's the schedule for Pittsburgh. They have 2 division games against Baltimore, Super Bowl favorite. They have 2 division games against Cleveland. Could be a Super Bowl favorite. And they have 2 division games against Cincinnati. Again, could be a Super Bowl favorite. Okay, let's look at their home games. They play the Chargers at home. They play Dallas at home. They play the Jets at home. They play the Giants at home and Kansas City. Those are their home games. Now, their away games are at Atlanta, at Denver, at Indy, at the Raiders, at Washington, at Philly.
Right.
Out of all of those games, I would say they're probably going to be favored in maybe 4 of them out of 17.
Well, just to back up, again, not to cut you off, but just to back up that conversation. So Sharp Football Analysis, it's a website you can use for easiest versus hardest schedules in the NFL. They do have the Pittsburgh Steelers as number 1 hardest schedule.
Yeah. So I as far as kind of what's in front of them as far as their schedule goes, like their schedule is awful.
Scary.
Like it's scary, awful. Like I can see them being favored against Atlanta.
Yep.
I can see them maybe being favored at Denver. And then I can see them perhaps being favored at Washington and home for the Giants. That's all I can see them being favored as going into those games. And with 2 pretty big question marks at the quarterback position with both Russell Wilson and with Justin Fields, whoever gets the time there, you need to have a running game to have a play action game. They were bad last year as far as the run game goes. I think Arthur Smith is going to help that out a little bit. However, I don't have faith. I don't have faith in their offensive line. And frankly, I don't have faith in their wide receiving core to be able to develop that second half of the play action, meaning they might be able to run the ball, but I don't think they have the guys that those quarterbacks can run to. So,
and the other thing is too, Deontay Johnson went to Carolina, and Najee Harris has been irrelevant throughout his entire course of the Pittsburgh career. I actually think Jaylen Warren actually could be the guy moving forward as a real good scat back, third down back, be very, very helpful when it comes to first down and second down touches out of the backfield, whether that's with Russell Wilson or Justin Fields, whoever they decide. So, yeah, I actually think looking at their schedule, they might get 5 or 6 wins. They might not even come close to 7.
Yeah, I don't think they come close. I'm maybe 7, right? Maybe 7, but that's still
pushing
under.
it.
I see them within the 5 to 7 win range, and I don't think it's close just because of the division that they play in, and just because of the fact of their schedule. Like Chargers are going to be better, Vegas is going to be better, Indy's going to definitely be better. Who knows about the Giants, right? I mean, they're with all the moves that they've made and. With Neighbors now as their kind of number 1 wideout, that might be a little bit better. So like, I don't see it for Pittsburgh. I feel like it's under, and I feel like it's like 5 to 7 wins for them.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. I really think Pittsburgh might have a hard time. Let's keep it into the division. I got Cincinnati Bengals as the team. They're over under in wins, and this is from BetGM, by the way. All of these betting lines and betting odds are from BetMGM. So Cincinnati Bengals are at 10.5. So here's my thing. The Bengals have been in a perfect instance basically throughout the entire Joe Burrow time, right? They have something that they can do that's going to be special, but they've obviously fallen short too many times, Geff. So like I think some of the negative things you're looking at, heading into this season, is I think Tyler Boyd going to Tennessee's big. I think he was really reliable, in the second slot or even the third slot. Obviously, you got T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, but he was really reliable when it came to third down percentage, and you had goal line touches as well. So I think that's going to hurt him. And Joe Mixon getting traded, I believe, for a 7th rounder, heading to Houston. I think Joe Mixon's going to be a guy they're going to miss. I think Zach Moss is going to do an okay job. Chase Brown, if anybody's thinking fantasy, Chase Brown's a guy that you got to look at. He's going to be smooth as a target for Joe Burrow coming out of the backfield.